I think it's recording. Can you hear me pretty good?
I can hear you pretty good. Yep.
T for Tyler, TG for Tyler Grant, Lord, Lord. TGF for Tyler Grant Farm, the Grant Farm.
Tavern
Thank
Grass.
you to my good friend, Lord, 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 Lord.
Lord, Lord.
Thank you for being my friend.
Thank you for being my friend and a mentor in a lot of ways.
Well, that's so nice of you. You make it easy. You're a very nice fellow.
Oh, thanks. I listen.
That's the key to everything, isn't it? At least listening.
That's right, especially bluegrass music.
We got to listen and learn to listen
That's right.
by ear. It's
Exactly.
kind of natural though for most of us. I think that folks that don't have hearing have an interesting way into music and vibration too. But we're so lucky. I'm definitely into like gratitude for being able to hear and you've been a mentor to me in a lot of ways. And one of the ways that you've been a mentor to me, and I feel like the community, we've had so many good, mentors in this department, is like cultivation. See, right there, you're probably getting a notification that's telling you that one of your friends wants to talk about music or something like that. That's just my guess. It might not be that. It could be that maybe, hey, your herbal remedy supplies are in from, India. I don't know. You could be taking the ashwagandha. It could be your notification about PayPal, like instant Amazon Prime delivery could have come today.
It
But
was
anyway,
a virus check. It's the only thing I can't turn off on this silly machine.
virus check for your computer, or virus check for like COVID.
Virus check for the computer.
Oh, jeepers. It's like, the first thing you think is just like a virus check. That means a lot of things these days, doesn't it?
Once our computers get COVID, we're in big trouble.
Oh, man. That just blew my mind right there.
Vibrations. You were talking about vibrations, gratitude, the spreading of positivity in the world, and educating each other in those things.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I was really thinking about, what you're doing with your guitar classes online. I think that's really cool through Facebook, since we're kind of older folks now, or middle older folks, we still use Facebook and we think that's still pretty cool. And you run a lot of online guitar slow jams, like medium jams, like electric stuff, but you're cultivating the community. And what I found is that when we're in alignment with like what we're supposed to be doing, which I believe, I've been watching this series Alone with my wife Brooke. Have you seen that? It's on the History Channel. It's about these people. It's a survivor thing. And like these 10 people go out to the wilderness, like Vancouver Island or like Siberia, Mongolia, the Arctic, and they try to, the contest is they try to survive for $500,000 to see who can last the longest. But they just over and over again, people are like, I just miss my people. I want to be around my people, and we're social creatures, and cultivating community and bluegrass is one of the most beautiful things about the music. Bill and Herb saying bringing everybody together and all that kind of stuff. And I like the tone you set with your presentations. You're always working on your equipment. It's always good. I was just looking right here. You got like a real nice, like super high def connection, and like that's always good. People do a lot of streams. They'll be like fuzzy and like like 1988, and it's like what it's like I spend a couple $100. You want to make a couple $100, spend a couple $100. And so I see that happening. You got the click tracks happening. You're very organized list, and I feel like what I've seen on is the response has been good. It's like, hey, here's flat picking champion, sharing his good knowledge in a good way, and I'm gonna, are you doing the Patreon thing? That's kind of like next on my list of considerations.
I haven't gotten there. It's funny because when COVID hit, I mean, I was lucky. I am not very techie. I have a good a friend, Mr. Cecil, Chris Cecil, who got me this laptop, or fixed it up nice for me and fixed up my old laptop. I got all this stuff done right before COVID, just by good fortune. And it's like, talk about your show Alone there. Well, it's like when COVID hit, all of us musicians were like stranded with the tools we had to survive, right? Because we couldn't even go to the store, or even like, I didn't even know how this was going to work, ordering stuff. So here we are, like on our little islands, survive. And I was so naive to how all this works because I hadn't done much live streaming before. And I thought, okay, I'll just turn on my laptop and play into the computer and play with the people. So here comes the night before my first big Friday concert. I said, okay, I'm going to do Friday concerts. I'm going to do Saturday workshops. The Friday concerts are as much for me as anything else, just to stay in shape and like perform and keep up your performance chops, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And for my family, and you know, people wanted to tune in, and everyone chats with each other on the chat, and it's a fun, you know, community thing. A little Friday night, you know, sing along, get together. Saturday workshop is obviously for the people, you know, just because folks are stranded at home with nothing to do. And then the Monday play along jam, obviously, you know, bluegrassers love to pick, and nobody could get together and pick. So that's again a service for the people.
You're such a good rhythm guitar player and singer.
Oh, so here we are stranded with the tools we have, and I thought, okay, the night before the Friday show, I'm going to do some tests. So I test out the laptop, and it looks and sounds horrible. I'm like, okay, this
Yeah.
isn't going to work. And then I try the phone, and it looks and sounds horrible. I just thought since these things record decent video and decent audio, that they will stream decent, but they don't.
Right. And where are you? You're in Colorado.
Colorado, yeah, Boulder County.
Boulder. Okay. So Wi-Fi maybe not so good out in, or cellular service maybe not the best.
No, it's really good. And I actually, when this all started happening, I got the fastest internet we could. It's the 1 gigabit, you know, internet. I have, you know, something like, you know, 100 gigabyte upload speed, which is like 10 times more than what most people have.
Mhm.
And I got all that just for the streaming. And I realized, okay, I was in panic. I'm like, what am I going to do? This all looks and sounds horrible. And I had recently picked up a GoPro. So I went and I checked out my GoPro, and it says, oh, you can stream directly to Facebook Live on this device.
Oh wow, that's
With
sweet.
Wi-Fi. So I tested that, and it looks and sounds great. So that's my
Great. Wow.
one tool that I've used, that the one thing that I've had, and I just kind of was lucky enough to have that piece. It has some faults because when the Wi-Fi drops, even for a second, you lose your stream and you have to repost.
Oh, okay, I see.
I did a lot of troubleshooting on that. That's one of the reasons I, you know, improved the internet here, and that's just something that's, you know, a flaw inherent in that technology. But you know, since then I went and ordered one of those Zoom cameras, the Q2 HD. I don't know. I'm kind of trying some new things, but
Might be back ordered at this point. A lot of people want that.
right. Yeah, there was a thing when all the like laptop cams and all the Zoom cams and things were unavailable because
Now
everyone
they're coming back because people maybe started realizing that they're going to need to make a lot more money manufacturing more. So yeah.
Right. Well, it is wild. I mean, you know, reconnecting with you quite a bit. Everyone's at home on their social and trying to like, you know, it was almost like this whole separation has brought this unity in this interesting way, you know, as you've observed, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. Time out. Everybody go to their room, think about everything, in like a real serious way for a long time, and we're not done.
Right.
But music definitely such a central part of so many people's lives. Of course, not everybody really likes music on that level. Even a lot of people who are great musicians might not even listen to music. I know I need to listen to more music,
Yeah,
but
for me both. Yeah.
sometimes we're just kind of when we do have some time, there's just so many ways that you can go with technology and people. Like I'm working with a fellow out in Colorado, Jackson Melnick, on his album, and that's been fun, flying some stuff in from Nashville, and teaching some Zoom workshops. So yeah, so we've all had this time to reflect, and then connect and figure out what we really want to do, and if you play the game real thoroughly, and you pay your taxes and stuff, there's some relief that has been available. It looks like the unemployment extension benefits might go till the end of the year. We were definitely concerned about that because it's been a great help. But continuing to connect with the community in a way that feels like really in alignment, like where my path with music and band leading ran me into great challenge and ultimately transformation into greater alignment with what I actually like. What I'm really into is, like, I suppose, understanding, like, a couple of things: efficiency and compression. Like, 'cause I feel like compression is like a super key critical like idea about how we understand, because we're because especially you and I, we're teachers, and so we're trying to figure out how much information we can fit into one stream without overloading the bandwidth or the moment or whatever like that. Um, uh, so like uh, compression uh, and I lost my train of thought on the other one. Um, but yeah, I can't find my way back to it. Sorry about that. But compression in itself is so fascinating. It's fascinating. It blows my mind. To think about our relationship with computers and technology, and how so we're so advanced, but we still can't play along at the same time with each other. Even with the fastest 100 gigabyte, we still can't play with each other. We can talk to each other. There's the lag, and so we're still dealing with a lack of bandwidth in so many ways. But I feel like the technology is an interesting reflection of our perhaps spiritual collective evolution. So maybe we're clearing out, we're kind of defragging this collective defragmentation of our hard drive, culturally, and figuring out where all these problems are, with how we handle energy, um, uh, and and relate to that energy, like so much energy moving, jeepers. It's like, and technology is such a big part of it, that the isolation and the community building. I'm kind of drifting on what I'm trying to say here. I'm not really figuring that out, but maybe where to.
Well, I think what you're saying by compression, I interpret as um, the need to get something done, the need to produce something. There's a pressure on everybody to remain significant, not just in our daily lives and how we interact with friends and family, but also just what are we doing, what are we getting done. And it was really hard for a lot of people, I think, to just step back and not do anything, or to focus on themselves.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but like, I received a calling pretty early on, because all these people are stranded at home and want to, like, oh, I can finally practice my guitar. Okay, here's this resource available. And so it was like I kind of stepped into this role as providing the service that all these people needed. And that became my total mission during this time. And I actually didn't have any downtime. I didn't have any time to write songs or read books or reflect. I mean, there was some of that,
I've
but
always appreciated your work ethic. Whether it's with the metronome and your guitar and working to the championships which you won, or it's like, okay, we're regrouping, we're adapting to our situations, and it's like, okay, no downtime. Yeah, right on.
well, okay. So again, that's like my interpretation of what you're saying about compression. To me, it's just pressure. I'm not going to feel right until I accomplish this thing, or at least try. And I'm not a natural. I wasn't like, I have a certain amount of natural talent, but I had to do that work. I can't just breeze by on my talent like some people can, you know. Um, so I guess you're witnessing a compressed version of myself. And talk about this in terms of alchemy, boiling
There we
some
go.
boiling
That's what
something
you knew
down
what I meant.
to
I
its
meant to say something cool.
yeah, boiling it down to its purest form. And right now, I think through this whole process of going through what we're talking about and interacting on the computers, being isolated on our little, in our little islands, this is one step that we've been faced in our becoming.
Yeah, yeah, a big one. Like, like we haven't actually had a visit in a number of years.
Hmm.
And so to me, that's exciting, because I know that there's been a lot of like similarities in our paths, and similar, you know trajectories in a lot of ways, energetically interfacing with the music industry, which is always changing.
And we
But I
both
think that,
did our big band leader thing, trying to push our group
right,
to the
right, right, right.
industry.
and understanding, like, what our true alignment is, which like changes from day to day, like our identity, our role, like what is our alignment for the moment, the day, the second, like heading where I dropped my ball earlier. I got off my noodle, which was at the idea of resonance. So the idea of like packing as much resonance as you can into like your moment, and if that means a big resonant compressed moment of nothing, and maybe compression has nothing to do with it, but I find that a fascinating concept. I meditate like an hour a day. It's a practice I developed a few years ago. It's helped me. To me, mental health is number one in my life. I struggle in a lot of ways with, have struggled, continue to, just working through it. I think everybody is, the stress of the collective at this point, then there's something wrong with you.
Right, right. I try to get my at least 15 minutes a day. I think
today is so great. That's a freaking steady practice.
And it's a combination of meditation and prayer. And I mean, me, my faith is all over the place, but there's still a central pull to a lot of the Christian to the Great Spirit that I still follow, which really helps me to get there quickly. And then from there, you can explore every other aspect of it. And, I feel this in nature and in everything that I do, all the physical things I do. I like, being active. But sitting still and taking deep breaths and getting back, as Deepak Chopra says, to the moment of creation, in your mind, and letting all that happen is really important. And I've, a lot of folks I've been in contact with during this time have said that, oh yeah, this has given me the opportunity to not have to get up early and get to work necessarily. I can do my meditation, whatever my mindfulness practice is. And it for some people it's religion. It's like Joseph Campbell says, if you got religion, stick with that because that works. If you're a little more free thinking and want to explore all these things, then mythology, studying mythology is your way in. But yeah, meditation and mindfulness practice is paramount to mental health, especially when all this information is flowing around and you're trying to like remember who you are and remember like your place in the universe.
How good is conspiracy theories for your mental health?
Oh man, it's the worst. It's the worst.
Now you tell me.
I'm so sick of it. I don't know. It's conspiracies are fun and interesting, but these days it's like all I see are just ridiculous political conspiracy theories, and it's like, oh, if you and me are talking about mental health, oh, well, let's get political about it. It's like, well, I know how you people think about this, and I know how you people think about this, and I'm going to vote this way about it. It's like, this is human stuff. It's not political stuff,
Yeah, it does go there, like with every second breath, in this climate, because I guess that's, ultimately people's reflection of the change that they maybe wish to be, within the world. Sometimes that's all the change we can be is a vote. Does it count? I don't know, but I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, well, it's the only thing that actually does count, I don't know. We could get into that, but I don't really want to. But everyone. Okay, so back to like us needing to be social, needing to interact. It's like the first thing I see when I turn on the Facebook, and again, the reason I'm on Facebook Live is because the GoPro only goes to Facebook Live. It goes to YouTube also, but I just direct everyone over to that page. Okay, all my jams are at my Facebook Live, my Facebook page, because that's just how it works for me right now. And when you get to a higher level and people are actually coming to you, like if you're Hot Rise, or if you're, I don't know, I'm just trying to think of someone who has a lot of followers.
Billy Strings.
If you're Billy Strings, people just come to you. You make a post, hey, I'm going to be on YouTube at this time, and everyone's going to come to you.
Right.
But we're still trying to like get people to like spot us on their feed, right? Like, oh, Chris Henry's live. I'm going to check that out. I'll see you pop up and like, oh, I didn't know about that. I wasn't planning on going to it, but it pops up. But anyway, we're like, opening up our little communications app, Facebook or Insta or whatever it is. And the first thing I always see is somebody, and it's not even somebody making a statement about it. It's someone sharing some post, sharing a news story, and it might be from a legitimate news source like the New York Times or something, but most of them are from like Politico or from this or that, and it's something that these people frame as like truth, but it's just somebody's idea that they, took something that they wanted to perpetuate and wrote it up as if this thing is real, and then everyone posts it, and then everyone sees it, and they believe that, and it's this foundation of truth it's never really been there, but now it's even worse. Nobody really knows what to stand on. And my dad's whole thing about media is like, you got to understand how media works so you can field this stuff and be what he called the gatekeeper, and understand how this is working, why it affects you this way, and is this significant to you, and why. And usually there's all these parameters that go into that story that make it significant to you. And then from a journalistic standpoint, you have to check if it's that attributed. And most of the time, these conspiracy theories are completely unattributed. It's just somebody's idea. And so when it comes down to fact or truth, you actually have to know how media works and understand that, oh, this is from a legitimate source, this is attributed. Or this is from, a spurious source, it's unattributed. You show me that Bill Monroe lick and I know, okay, he actually knows that Bill Monroe lick. I can attribute Chris Henry for knowing how that really goes because he has an integrity about that kind of music. If I hear it from someone else, I'd be like, maybe I should double check that that's the actual lick.
Well, that's nice of you to say.
Anyway, that's how I feel about conspiracies. I just think, I don't know. I think it's just like kind of murkying up the waters of truth and understanding.
Maybe the conspiracy theories themselves are out to get us.
It could be. This is part of the IT, taking over.
Do you think there will be advertising in heaven?
It just depends on, my idea of what heaven actually is. Kind of varies day to day, but when, I think the older I get and the deeper I dive into the mindfulness and spiritual practice, the less I can define heaven on our conscious terms. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, you might have a deeper understanding of this than I do, but
I'm just grasping straws.
As far as the energy goes, I believe there's an energy of the spirit and an energy of the life, and I believe all these things are intertwined. I mean, on a deeper level, science, molecular theory, deep like string theory and things like that, and spirituality, I believe are ultimately going to understand one another, and I believe all of that lives on into perpetuity. It's like even science says, first law of thermodynamics is that nothing can be created or destroyed. We're all in this universe. We're all within this boundaries of the universe, and nothing is going to actually dissolve and go away. And number two, in a closed system, entropy increases. So all of these life forces in the universe are ultimately going to interact with each other. And this might be on a total spiritual energy level, or it might be on a physical level, or those two things might be one and the same. So when this form goes, all of these bits of our energy live on in one way or another. Are we going to be consciously aware? Are we going to go to some place like heaven? That might be something we all create on our own.
Tyler, have you got your guitar?
Yeah.
Could you sing us a song with everything you just said?
Well, let's see. I don't know if there is a song with all that in it.
Can you tilt your camera down so we can see your guitar real pretty? It's the champ right here, folks.
Let's see here.
I don't know what he's doing.
I gotta tune out. Well,
how's your freestyle game?
What's that?
How's your freestyle game?
It relates to the amount of compression.
Doesn't it?
In the moment, right?
It's a delicate ecosystem.
It is an ecosystem. Okay, here's a little bit. I'll do you a little bit of a song that you know, that you actually played on, that sort of tells the story. I told you I haven't been able to write. I've been so busy working all this other stuff. And it's time to do a lot of writing coming up. All right, here's a song. I'll do some of it for you. I've been climbing this old mountain with the stars shining in my eyes, trying to make sense of my surroundings. Yes, and read between the lines. I can't see what lies before me, but that morning sun so high shall be revealed in all its glory when I reach the other side. In the light I can see forever. In the light I can find my way. Keep my eyes on the eastern skyline. Stand and wait for the coming day. In the light I can find my way.
That's a beautiful song. I always thought that was like, my favorite moment to think about that is like around the campfire, like nice. But it's nice in the middle of the day. I've never thought about that song, too much in the middle of the day. I think we might have recorded it in the middle of the day. That's a really nice song. Thanks for picking that one out to share with us here.
I just thought of that recently. I hadn't done that song in years, but I think it's just
Hands the Test of Time. That's a classic there. That's
yeah,
nice.
thanks. That's sort of my just trying to distill it down into one thing, and it's like, there's a light, there's an awareness, there's the love, there's the consideration, the significance, everything that we aim for in our lives,
And how nice to have that song within your own repertoire to be able to call on and bring out in a moment for me. Of course, that's just, I love that song, but for anybody, thinking about that kind of sentiment, just to center there, because I do believe in that idea. Be the change that you want to see, and there you go with that song. Sometimes the songs can lead us to our truest identity, and that's one reason I love helping people explore music, is because it can really lead to personal revelation. I think that a lot of like learning to hear, learning to listen, learning about the connection between like the ear and the heart, the inner vibration, all that kind of stuff, has to do with our opening up our throat chakra. I think the ear and the throat are really connected. All this stuff, like opening it up, like understanding like what our true vibration is, all that kind of stuff. And of course we have so many like just tying it back to the beginning, so many great teachers about this idea about truth and gospel and whatever that means to anybody. The truest thing that you would ever want to believe in a moment, which can change, but so many people, in especially in bluegrass music, or really, the people with the heart, their hearts open, you hear it wherever it is, whether it's Bob Marley or Carter Stanley or Monroe or Jerry Garcia, or sometimes like these flavors are strong and can take a little while to
right.
get used to. But sorry,
Mac Miller, Dr. Dre, right?
Oh my gosh, yeah. These people that like you can't argue with their cultural resonance and to a degree, timeless, relevance. And to be steering people towards that all the time and being like, hey, let's pick it up. Here's this music thing. We can't forget about that. It's like, that's beautiful, man. I love that song.
Thanks. Well, I mean, you're doing a great thing too with your all your educational stuff and getting people to see these connections that you're seeing. And we as musicians have an easy time because we kind of just inherently understand that, and we've been doing it since a young age, and we kind of figured that out before we even knew how to explain it. Yeah. But in bluegrass music, like you have to sing, like and it used to be in the old days. That music was part of school. Music was part of what you did when you had supper, like the whole family would sing together. Like in most cultures worldwide, up until our current era, this was part of the daily life, and it was part of the mythology of the people. And these days, I think it's coming back around, even seeing all these Guitar Center ads, guitars for sale. Cool. People are buying guitars. People are doing music more. Mm-hmm. People are doing music as a hobby, and it's really important. And I always try to get people to at least, okay, I'm teaching the C major scale, like sing the notes. Even if you're not a good singer, sing the notes. You're going to understand it that much better.
Yeah, you're going to want to ultimately to be able to relate to them, quite handily, easily. So you might as well start at the beginning.
And it's just like you're saying, the ear and the throat, chakra, those things are related, and they're going to help each other understand, what you're doing. But bluegrass music, man, like it was such a revelation to me in my late teens when I kind of got into it, in early 20s. I showed up at the Bluegrass Jam, and there's all these people who are recreational players. They're not all like the hottest guitar. I could play faster guitar than any of them, but everyone sang, and everyone could sing all the harmony parts. I was like, wow, what an amazing world to be in, where everybody's singing these songs, everybody knows all the parts. It's just so great.
It is magical on that level, and I think that somehow some of that cultural thing came through the Grateful Dead, and then on even into Phish. My wife kind of her family is connected to that whole world, but just to see a whole world of people like connected through songs, through this of course they have their it's like fantasy, like Trey's fantasy world, and then like the Grateful Dead is more bluesy, and then you got the bluegrass is like so much old timey stuff, but it's just bringing people together over and over again. It doesn't leave us, and now we just got a couple maybe minutes left. I got to go slide off to the teacher lesson. I know you do too. But some heavy cultural forces are being dealt with, and one could look at them through the lens of these are big, complex, karmic situations that have been handed down generationally, and sometimes that's reflected within music, too. And so there's this transformation that's happening. Like, what's the most important thing, Tyler?
Most important thing?
Yeah.
Well, it's the love. It's the caring. It's the compassion. Putting yourself in other people's shoes.
But how do we do that when it gets very, very almost impossible?
That's something I'm trying to figure out. The compression, efficiency, right? Efficiency. Like, what can you do? I mean, I'm doing a bunch of river guide training right now. This is just something I got into.
Love that.
And so tomorrow I'm taking first aid CPR course.
Wow.
That I feel like there's a time and a place where that might be needed.
Oh yeah, smart.
And there's all these.
That's love.
Yeah, and you've been in the leadership role before, and this time has given some of us an opportunity to sort of back off from that a little bit. But ultimately, you find yourself being called upon to be in a leadership role of some form or another. So it's going to take a lot of teamwork and people who are excellent leaders, knowing when to follow, when to step up, when to take a step back, and when to be involved.
Man, that's a lot of like learning Learn day.
You know how it is. Some people are excellent organizers, and that's something I bang my head against all the time. But this mass of organization, it's going to take leaders who know how to utilize the tools of everyone who has something to offer. And I hope like leadership kind of comes back, in in our country a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, jeepers. Yeah. I think that that's a little bit of a big choice. I think to me that like what's going on, not to put too fine of a point on it, but like the ability to listen, the ability to discern, like for ourselves, like and not like and that's it's so difficult when like your culture, you know with that like that nagging kind of like the Jiminy Cricket, within everybody. It's like I'm saying these things, but I don't even know if I really believe them all the way. But everybody else, there's like the concept of the heyoka, which I've always liked, which can go too far. It's like when everybody else is standing up, I'm gonna sit down, or when everybody else is being quiet, I'm gonna make a noise.
Yeah. It's
And
not necessarily acting out of defiance, because that just can be unproductive. It's what you're saying is critical thinking. And
yeah, exactly.
even most religions, even in the Bible, it tells you to think for yourself, to use wisdom and discernment. Right?
What page is that on?
That is in the book of Psalms and Proverbs, when Solomon is giving these lessons to his son. Look in the early part of Proverbs.
Okay, Proverbs, got it.
Old Testament. And he says you must he's basically saying use critical thinking. You must act with wisdom and discernment. I don't know the verse or the chapter.
Simpletons, how long will you wallow in ignorance? Cynics, how long will you feed your cynicism? Idiots, how long will you refuse to learn? About face, I can revise your life. Look, I'm ready to pour out my spirit on you. I'm ready to tell you all I know. As it is, I've called, but you've turned a deaf ear. I've reached out to you, but you've ignored me. That sounds like she was mad about something that day.
Yeah, well, it goes on to talk about, my son. This is Solomon giving lessons to his son. Use wisdom and discernment. Like these are big parts of that lesson. And yeah, wisdom and discernment, critical thinking, self-searching, all of this. Yeah.
Tyler, I feel like we just done scratched the surface, buddy.
I know.
I gotta go on. I know you do too. Well, let's check in again soon. Thank you for taking this time, man.
You're welcome. Thank you, Chris. Keep up all the good, becoming, enlightening work you're doing.
Thank you, man. We're working on it. Hopefully gaining on it. TylerGrant.com.
That's it.
TylerGrant.com, and on Facebook /TylerGrant.
Tyler Guitar on Facebook.
Tyler Guitar. And yeah, man. Really appreciate it. Love you, brother. Let's check in again soon.
Okay. Take care, Chris.
You're so fast. My mind is just spinning. See you later.